Hello, welcome to the broadcast. Today, what is today? Wednesday, midway through the week. I'm sitting here going like, how is April almost over? Blow me away. We're almost to the 5th month of 2021. Woo! Talking about like time going faster and faster. Holy moly. So welcome again. Go ahead and drop any comments or questions that you have or whatever, like comment below if you have any questions or what you're working through, or even just to say hi. Hi, everybody. Okay. So let's, as I was hopping on, kind of prepping for today, it was interesting because I was like, is there any message for us today that could be beneficial for us? Like, is there something for us to hear? And I'm really curious too, because I'm seeing, it coincides with some of the energy of the day and what's going on around us. But most specifically, the message that came in when I asked was, I was reminded of just the ask and ye shall receive. And I'm not even sure exactly what all we're going to talk about with that. So I'm just going to kind of lean into that a little bit. But it was just talking about ask and ye shall receive. And then one of the things that kind of what I was seeing there is sometimes we don't receive. And is there something that prevents us from receiving that which we ask for? That was kind of my thought here. It's like, so energetically, in fact, that this is definitely one of the energies going on in the day. There's a lot of stuff that I'm seeing coming from, it's like coming from the sky, and there's a lot of things being pressed down upon us. Now, this could be insights. This could be just things going on around us. But it also feels like heaven, like the messages of heaven and like the divine and things coming from God, like they're being pushed down upon the people right now. This can also include blessings, answers to prayers, anything that we're wanting in our lives, like things that are good. It just feels like it's just kind of being pushed. It's being pressed down upon us. So if you think about all of these blessings and all of these things are available to us, and they're just literally coming down upon us, then what is the difference between one person receiving something and another person receiving something? And why isn't everybody receiving the same? So that message of asking you shall receive is totally applicable here. So the first thing to receive, I do believe, is that asking. And not just asking in vague terms, but also asking in specifics. Asking for the little things that you don't even think are a big deal, but maybe it's going to help you in your life. Like for instance, like here's something. I was like at the store, and my daughter, she's in a play, and there was a costume piece that we were looking for. And it was like, it's for a costume for just like a handful of performances. I really don't want to go buy brand new. Well, there were shoes. And they had to be boots, so I was like, I don't want to invest in all the boots just for a few performances. So I was checking in the thrift store, and that even is something. I said a prayer. I say I got shopping angels sometimes, because I do. I'm asking for that help, and I can find exactly what I'm looking for. In that scenario, it was kind of interesting. I found boots there, but I wasn't sure exactly if they would fit her feet. And then I had kind of a reminder. Those boots reminded me of some shoes that I have that were not in my closet right now. And all of a sudden I just flashed to a box at the top of my closet that was titled winter clothes. And so I flashed to that, and I decided to take that leap of faith and found them. But there's other times that I'll go in and find shirts or whatever. But so little things we can ask for in our lives, and we can get some of those blessings. So sometimes, things can just be easier and more fluid for us in that way. And then sometimes it's like the big things that maybe we're just asking for and maybe not receiving. And then in that case, gosh, this all feels like good reminders, good reminders for me, good reminders. Hopefully this is a good reminder for everyone. Like, this is kind of what's coming in today. It's just all of this stuff coming down on the planet. But the next thing is to totally do like that faith check. Like, what is the level of my faith? Is the level of my faith to receive, is it greater than the fear or the stress or the worry or whatever it is coming in? Like, which one is greater at that moment? So I'll do like a faith check. Another little thing that is to ask and you shall receive can also mean you can receive it spiritually and energetically before it shows up in your the physicality of it, like before it shows up in your physical realm. So receive it. Ask and receive is like, you know what, I just prayed for something and I'm looking for something. Can it just come to me? Like, can I just have it already right now? And so, and that's a super powerful one. Like, yeah, I have it already. I prayed and I already have it. Oh yeah, it may take a couple days for it to show up, but it's already mine. It's already with me. And so that is another element of that. And then also too, kind of one of the last ones is just that sometimes we bump up against feeling worthy or deserving, or we ask for things in a way like we're little beggars on the street, just going, can I just have a little bit? And just remember that you are children of God and that you are not beggars. You are not orphans. You have loving Father. You have that ability to receive. And so do you believe it? Do you feel worthy of that? Do you feel like, like just deserving? That word deserving kind of has a entitled feeling, but on the flip side of it, it could also mean like, do you deserve it? Like, you don't have to be perfect before you get blessings. Before you have prayers answered and receive, you don't. I mean, that's what grace is. And that is, so to put your state in that, yourself in the state of receiving. What does it feel like? What does it like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What is kind of that vibrational, energetic match for receiving? So I hope that helps you guys today. That just felt like, we've all got some stuff that we're looking for. And so let's receive and let's ask, and let's up-level our faith and receive it now. And then even if it takes a minute to see it in the physical form. So good. All right. So go ahead and, like I said, like, you can totally leave your comments, questions. Also too, for anyone that is kind of new to the broadcast, you can also ask before, during, or even after the show. So you can email us. You can comment that you'd like in the future to have something answered, especially if you're watching a replay, or you can even ask to be anonymous, message, email, however that speaks to you. So good. All right, let's see here. Oh, good identification, Carissa. Like asking, like feeling like a beggar. That's some great, like tapping into those subconscious thoughts and feelings. That's like, if I can totally think of situations that I have maybe felt like that, but here in this space, I have no attachments to any of it. I don't sit there and think, oh, so-and-so has already asked so much this week and this person's asked and I've helped them more than another. Like, I really don't, I don't hold that kind of measuring stick. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And Natalie, you felt the same. So good things to recognize. I would probably have, I might also identifying pieces of myself where I kind of do that, feel like a beggar at times. And so if I'm doing that with other people and receiving, then where am I also doing this with receiving from God? Because if there's elements of it somewhere, even if it's hidden from your view, it might be there subconsciously. So really good. I'm sorry to send in love on that grief on your heart today, Natalie. Yeah. I actually am not surprised with kind of that energy of like pushing down on things. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of kind of things that just feel a little heavier. Like, yes, you can receive the good things, but maybe the pressure of pushing out some of the other things might be there as well. Um, let's see. Okay, sorry, I'm going through. I've got a message here that I was gonna read. I'm gonna go to and then one that was messaged in. Um, okay, so this is from Kathy, and she was asking about some timeline things coming up. Is anybody else feeling like time is it timeline? I just call them like timeline shifts. Like all of a sudden you feel like you're on a path, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoop, you're kind of feeling like you're on a new path, or it feels like something changed, and maybe you get an answer in one direction, and also feels like something switched. Like I'm really curious if you guys are bumping into any time things. I know I've had some experiences like that. But anyway, so she's asking about being able to see a lot of timelines, kinds of things that kinds of things that are like all of a sudden, like life's beginnings and endings, people's, and even foods. That's fascinating. It leaves me feeling like I'm floating in time somewhere, and it's very hard to connect into the now. I found that doing things like grounding or dancing helps, but any other suggestions? Okay, good meaty question. All right, so um and I'm loving the comments rolling in. You guys are feeling the time shifting too, so it's very fascinating. So hearing Kathy's question, and Kathy, I'm going to talk to you right now. In a way, it actually sounds like you may have like some kind of spiritual gift with time, or even like a precognizance where you can see possible outcomes. People with this gift, and then of course, when it goes through your spiritual senses, it can look differently. For instance, if someone has precognizant with it and they just are seeing a lot of outcomes, then that could be more through their clairvoyance or their clear seeing in their eyes. Sometimes people just know things, or sometimes they just have the feeling of things, like experience like just feelings of deja vu a lot of times, and it just feels really familiar. All of those kinds of things are indicative of some kind of time gifts. So when you're describing this, like seeing a lot of timeline things, it reminds me, I actually have a daughter with huge gifts like this. She knows what she's going to wear because she dreams it the night before. Like every morning she just goes to her closet. I know what I'm wearing because I dreamt it. But then when her gifts really started ramping up, it was kind of difficult because everywhere she went, it was like she was seeing multiple possibilities all at once. So she'd be standing on like a curb ready to cross a street, and all of a sudden she would be like, she'd see a car accident here, and then she would see a person walk by here, and then she would see light changing here, or she just like things happening like almost simultaneously while she's experienced the reality that she's in and like what she's seeing physically in front of her. But then it's like she was just bombarded with all these other possibilities at that time. And so, that's what it reminds me of, because it does. It can make you feel like you're floating and that you're not super grounded in that moment. One of the things, like grounding, dancing, you can also get, like sometimes it helps to get something in the physical world. Like sometimes if you could wear like a bracelet and just like have some tactile sensation, maybe you rub that bracelet, like you said, what you just did was tactile, so that was really good. It's kind of grounding you to the moment. Maybe you could just even rub your legs or touch your fingers, and then also just ramping up the intensity of who you are and in this moment. So it's like just kind of this claiming, here's who I am, like I am Martina, I am, like here I am right now in this moment. Also too, one of the other things that can be beneficial that I've seen with different people working through this is to release a little bit from the worry and trying to understand all that you're experiencing. So if you're like, well, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? It can almost get you lost in it. So it's super important to just, you know what? Okay, this came in. I don't have to go there and follow it. I'm just going to put it on the shelf in my mind. Oh, this possibility came up. Okay, now just shelf this one too. So if you dwell on it and kind of follow it, then it makes you, and then also see another possibility and you follow that one, it can just kind of get you lost in like an inception kind of thing, where you get lost like within one to another to another. And so if you just kind of like understand all of those possibilities exist in this very moment, and to stay objective, you don't have to worry about it or think too hard on it. Just know that you have that gift and that ability. And it sounds like it's just coming in stronger for you. So many of our spiritual gifts and our gifts are ramping up right now. So it doesn't surprise me that if you have this, if it's ramping up, and then you can also speed things up. And this goes with like all of our gifts. If you're worried or too focused on it, then it slows you down. Like we have to understand everything that comes in. And so really it's important for speed. If you can just go boop, boop, shelf, but okay, this came in, that's a possibility, that's a possibility. And then just trust the whole process, trust God, trust the, the universal like things coming into you, that when the timing is right, you're going to get more things coming into you. And so like I call it, like as soon as I get 3 witnesses of something, then I notice, and then I'll like when I start getting the 3 witness thing, then I like really go, okay, something to pay attention to here. And then I'll kind of pull in all of the things that I've put on the shelf around this certain topic. And then I'll look at it and try to discern and try to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to do with that information. So I kind of felt like, thank you, Kathy, for asking that question. And I felt like hopefully that was good for multiple people here, because I feel like that is very applicable for a lot of our gifts to go to be faster. So, all right, so let's look here. Like, love. Let's go to the people live. Thanks for being here and watching. Carrie, let's go to you, my dear. I'm in a place where I feel like I'm coming out of the closet, out of an empathic, clairsentient, intuitive healing facilitator person. I can't deny what my gifts are, so why do I feel so awkward about this? And how do I get over the fear of judgment and rejection? Such a good question. Like, that is so good. The best way to get over the fear of judgment and to not feel so awkward is to keep doing it. Like, that's like the number one thing, because then the more you do it, the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you can get confident and strengthen it. And then there's a couple other things too that can really help. And that is to find terms that you can speak about that can be really understood for people at whatever level they're at. Like, because truly it's like, here's how I'm serving these people. And so like I change my verbiage sometimes. It's all describing the exact same thing I do, but I'll change my verbiage depending on that person's level of understanding or maybe belief system, so that they can understand what it is, so it's not being weird to them. It just is like, oh, I get it. So if you can maybe even just brainstorm and maybe write a few like verbiage things that you could share, that can help. Also too, here's something really interesting. The level of your confidence will often determine how other people react to you. Let me say that again. How the level of your confidence in the way you speak about what you do is most often going to determine how people react to you. So what this means is, if you approach a topic and they're like, well, what do you do? And you're like, well, I kind of have these little things happen to me. And I'm kind of like this gifted person and I'm picking up on these things and da, da, da. If you speak about it that way, can you energetically feel what's going on? It's kind of like, well, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. They're kind of standing on shaky ground. So that sounds weird. But if you're like, you know what, I have extreme intuitive abilities and I use these to be able to help people through, holistic or natural healing options and like however you speak about it, and you do it with confidence, people will go, whoa, oh, okay, she must know what she's talking about. Like it does something. Like my whole world changed the moment I stopped talking about it like kind of shifty. But again, I didn't learn how to talk about it more confidently until I was out there doing it. So keep doing it, keep sharing it. And like energetically for you, Carrie, I think that like the energy that I see for you is that that there's some just like, yeah, you want people to like you, but it also is a deeper stemming from like, I just want to do what's right. And I want people to know that what I'm doing is right. So there's some fear of maybe that other people might think that you're being deceived or that you're going weird because of that, like such a pure desire to just do what's good and right and pure. Um, and I would just say, like, who's your judge? Who's your judge? If it's God, like, then you have to honor what he's given you and the way that he teaches, and the way that the Spirit is teaching you to speak about things. And if you don't, then you're accountable to him. You're not accountable to the other people. So if they react poorly, you can kind of wash your hands of it and go, well, that's on you. If you have a question about what I'm doing, you take it. That's like where I have the water slide around me and I send it right to Jesus. They just water slide to Jesus. I'm like, oh, I've done my best. I did all that I could. But if there's something that is not mine to carry, then you can water slide up to Jesus. I don't have to receive any kind of negative feedback if it's not constructive and they don't understand what I'm doing anyway, because this is my source. So let me know, Carrie, how that resonates and if that helps, my dear. Okay, and let's go to Carissa. Heck yeah, I want to go to Carissa. Way to ask. Asking you shall receive. You are not a beggar in this space. So love it. Let's do some general reading today for you. All right, Carissa, let's look at this. The first energy that I'm seeing is just like maybe something in your eyes. I feel like maybe you've kind of experienced some disappointment lately, maybe something that you were excited about or that you cared about, and there was just kind of a letdown of a disappointment, like, feels like there's a little bit of like discouragement, maybe even a little bit of like tears that you wanted to cry about whatever the situation is. And I'm also seeing it down. In fact, I would totally recommend just taking a few deep breaths as you're watching right now. If you're still on, breathe with me. Take a few breaths. Because there's something about a feeling of rushed and like a timing thing, like, oh, I thought this was the time, or I got to go do something and it's not, and like feels like this. I just want to be going out and doing all these things, and it's like, let's just take a deep breath. And if you, the more you understand, the more that we understand time, there really is no requirement to rush in this scenario. Like, just do your best. Do what you're prompted to do. You're not going to miss out. You're not going to lose out on something. Even if things shift around you, there can still be divine timing. The thing about time is that it's so amazing. It's like the moment of now is the moment of change and shifting. And however it is, like your moment of choice now, it changes it in the future, but it also backtracks as if it's always been in the past. So the future and the past are all part of this moment of now. So if you can just kind of remember that. But I can definitely see these desires of your heart. You've got such great desires of the heart, like it's wanting to rush and go and do and fulfill all the things that you came to earth to do. Super good intentions and beautiful heart there. But just remember that there's nothing to fail at here. There's no arrival point. There's no destination. There's evolution and continual growth. And there is a timing, and that you'll be able to hear it and trust it more as you breathe versus if you rush around. Kind of reminds me of like if you're in a hurry. Have you guys ever been in a hurry and all of a sudden everything delays you more? You start dropping your keys and you stub your toe on the bed and you're like rushing around, and then you spill your cereal and it's like, yeah, because you're having that rushy feel. So it's like, just get into that flow and trust it. So anyway, let me know on that, Carissa. Great question. I feel like that can benefit many of us. Many of us. All right, let's go to, let's see. Yeah, Natalie, let's go and look at that grief. Please forgive me if I did not understand what you were asking. You're feeling a lot of grief on your heart. So let's look a little bit more at the grief. Okay, so looking at this, we'll kind of leave this up for a minute. I know I've said this before, but you have just got so many gifts in your heart. Like your heart is just like one of your strongest things. So something I do see you, there's some care and maybe concern over someone else or some other people around you. And I just feel like you've kind of taken on some of that heart pain. It's not even yours. It's like, oh, this is just would be in a way, like even if you just think of the word like empathy, but to empathize with someone, it's like, oh, that must be really hard for them. And you kind of step into that place of feeling it as if it's happening to you. So there's someone, some or multiple people that it feels like, I don't know, is there someone that you've been really worried about, or somebody that you just watched, they just went through something really hard and you've kind of been like, oh, how hard for them. I just am going to like think about them and pray for them. And what can I do? Like some of those feelings are, it's like I'm seeing you have there. Super good. Again, the heart is really good, but just to remember too, that it's not necessarily your role to carry that pain. Just, we are not anyone else's savior. We can empathize, like in order to, it's like a gauge so that we know how to serve. We know how to, like when we know and understand what a person is feeling, then maybe we know how to serve them better. But we don't save them. And so it's just really important to just not try to carry their cross on your shoulder or in your heart. And it's so tricky to do, especially when you care for people. But again, that's kind of my water side to Jesus. Like, oh, like I will feel what a person's going through as if it's happening to me. Literally, like physical pains, heart pains, you name it. I will feel it like as if it's my own. And before I learned this skill, it was taking me down. Like it would take me down for days. Depends on the thing. Sometimes ailments would take me on for weeks because I was just like taking it on. And so it's just like I say, it's a water slide to Jesus. Like, oh, that hurts for them. Okay, I love them. I can pray for them. I can see if there's something else for me to do. And then I just water slide the rest to Jesus because it's not mine to carry. So I hope that helps. Yeah, and it's also too, like when it's your greatest gift, know that it also may be greatest weakness, right? Because they're really one and the same. It's like the whole polarity thing. If you've got something extreme over here, then you might have some extreme on the flip side that's not so pleasant. And the opposite is true. If you have something that is like feels super, super on this side negative, guess what? You've also got super, super positive things. And so you just have to find it, flip it over and find the gift and the good things with it. So, all right. So good. Let's go to, all right, let's go to you, Angie. Oh, love it. Let's look at some relationship energy with your 6-year-old daughter. Well, okay. So good question. So I'm just going to kind of look at the relationship energy that's coming back and forth between you two. This is cute. She just kind of came wired knowing who she is. That's kind of what I'm picking up. It's like there's in a strange way, like you're almost, instead of speaking to her like I'm the parent, you're the child, it actually feels like there could be, because like when I'm seeing some of this dynamic, it's almost like some of what you want her to do or whatever, it just feels like it drops down or it doesn't get received by her. Where I just feel like she came to this earth with a spiritual maturity beyond her years. And so being able to communicate with her may be more beneficial if it's approached like almost acknowledging and honoring her spiritual development being higher. So you could do like, instead of talking to her, like almost, I'm just going to use this as an energetic thing. Like, oh, here, I'm the parent, you're the kid. So I'm going to just send this, like, I know better. I want you to do what I say. That may not be received well. So instead, if you can kind of come down to her level, and kind of match this level, not necessarily to bring you down, but to speak to her as if she's already that grown, mature spiritual giant that she already is. When she feels that, and she feels that mutual respect, and like it's going both ways, then it feels like, oh, my mom sees me and she respects me. And I would say just to listen to her and give her choice, give her lots of choices, and then to hear, like maybe seeking to understand, like, okay, well, you make that choice. Can you help me understand, about that choice that you made, so mommy can understand you better. And then to let her have some of her own experiences, her own learning experiences, and just trust her kind of internal knowing there. And even if something doesn't go as well as she wanted it to, then you could maybe just still speak to her and be like, well, what did you learn from that experience? If it's a kind of a parent, just kind of like, if that makes sense, like to honor her spiritual giant that's inside of her. There's a little bit of ego on that spiritual giant. Like, it's like, I know already, I know what I got to do. Like, and so if you can lean into that, it might help. Let me know on that. I love doing little relationship things, especially with little daughters. Yeah, it was kind of fun to look at that. All right, let's see here. Let's go to, yeah, good. Thanks for commenting, guys. I always love to hear your comments and see how it's resonating, and how those things, how they connected to you. Okay, well, this is a fun little question. Okay, let's look at this. I kind of like things like this because they're just like vague. Like, it's a mystery. Any help with what I'm wanting or could ask for? And then she followed up. So this was really good, Jennifer. I'm kind of numb or dumb right now. Like, can't speak, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've totally felt that before. I'm having to rely on others to receive. That's different for me. Perhaps it's just what it is. And I just need to rest and experience it. If not, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, well, let's just look at what's going on in the energy around you, and let's kind of just check your connections and see what's flowing and what's not flowing, and see if like saying, like, sometimes if there's purpose in it, especially if there's divine purpose, I call it the God strand, where I just see the energy where it just looks like kind of God's purpose is in that. So let's look at all of that really fast, and let's see. Ooh, what's with the ear? Are you a clairaudient? Like, do you typically hear things? I'm really curious because my right ear just went nuts. And speaking on the throat expression. Woo. Okay. I'm really curious if you are. Have you guys ever watched X-Men Rogue? So they all have like these powers, all the mutants, they have these powers, but Rogue's powers, it's like when she touches someone else and she can feel theirs. That happens to me whenever I like see or kind of connect to someone's energy. It's like, oh, all of a sudden things shift and I start receiving in the way almost that you receive. So it kind of just makes me curious. All right, so let's look at this. Okay, so in your chest and in kind of this breathing heart space, I'm seeing a lot of like spinning energy. It's like, and then around you, around your head, and around kind of like in the mind, it just feels like there's a lot coming in. It feels like you've been in a phase of seeking, just meaning like a lot of seeking, learning, absorbing, like, what can I do? Like, let me absorb and learn as much as you can. And it just feels like there's a lot of things around you. So it's like you've just got a lot of information and pieces that are just all kind of around. And then this little swirling here of like, oh, well, what do I have? How do I feel about this? What do I need to do with it? And then all the options are here. So it actually feels like there's a little bit of overload in your system. It reminds me of like the term deer in the headlights. Like if you've got too much going on, and that's just personal stuff that you've got on. And then if you look beyond that, then there's like your life around you, and then there's like to-do list items, and there's cleaning to do, and you got to go do this, and you got this family, someone needs something in life, and you got all of this life chaos that's around you that is asking to be organized. And then you've got all this seeking energy that's just all there to this, and it's just this that's a lot. What do I do with it? And so it's just bing, like deer in the headlights. So absolutely, I love that. I love the fact right here that I think you are picking up on some of what it is. I just have to rest and experience it. So the fact that you just picked up on some rest, I think is key. So absolutely kind of some rest, trusting that timing. And what I'm actually seeing could be like energetically, what kind of looks like right now is to feel like you're trying to juggle all these balls and hold them all in the air. And like to give yourself permission, it's okay to let some of them drop. It's okay to intentionally let some of them drop and just not get done. So it's just pushing everything down and choosing what to keep. And then it's also another message that's coming in strong on this is to, again, trust the timing. So even if something isn't being done right this second, it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen, or feeling like you're going to forget all that you've learned, or you're not going to be able to do the things that you just had or prompted to do. Like all of those things can have a timing. And again, like the shelf thing that I kind of imagine in my mind, like it's okay to put something on the shelf, or even like if it's like a box, like, I'm going to pour all this in a box and it's not going anywhere. I'm not going to forget it. I'm not going to drop it. It's not going to be done. It's just, I'm going to just pour it into this box for a minute, put it on a shelf while I focus on my home, my family, some self-care, taking care of myself, resting, getting things in order, whatever has to be in order. And then when it's settled, then you can open up the box and it won't be so much with everything else going on. Definitely, I recommend lots of breathing breaks, lots of cleansing deep breaths. So cleansing deep breaths. Bring yourself into the moment of now, right? We're not in fight or flight mode. We don't have to hurry, rush. This whole day, we've kind of had a time theme. I think we're all feeling it for sure. So very cool. All right. And then I'm just going to go to this last one really fast. I got to go because I got to get my son here in a minute, but I just feel like I just want to touch on this one. Michael, welcome. I love the question. This is like kind of one of my favorite ones to ask is, can you identify my spiritual gifts? And again, for those that are newer to the broadcast, or if you're watching a replay, I do kind of speak and teach about them a little bit differently with spiritual gifts. They move through our spiritual senses. So we have our spiritual senses in the way that we receive information, the way we navigate it, but our spiritual gifts, like two people can have the same spiritual gift, but maybe it looks totally different based on the way it moves through you in all of your spiritual senses. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to go to the intuitiongym.com senses, and we go through 10 spiritual senses and how that works. So, okay, let's go back to this question, Michael. And all right, let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of touch on a little bit of both, some of the spiritual senses and the way some of these gifts move through you. So I'm seeing some gifts. Well, first and foremost, I'm seeing a little bit extra light around your eyes, and the way that the energy flows through you, it moves through your mind, and it's like I'm seeing this like kind of a movement. Sorry, my son's calling me. I gotta go pick him up. But anyway, I'm seeing kind of a movement and a shifting going on. It reminds me of kind of a little bit of like a Rubik's Cube, where you go, and you're figuring something out. So I see that kind of energy in your mind, like it figures things out and then it's moving through the eyes. And so perhaps things that you see and then you're good at figuring them out. And then also too, I'm seeing them. It's interesting because sometimes when I see this, I'll see it kind of coming out of like a mouth, like in a teaching. But for you, it's really interesting. Kind of the energy travels back through you, like even through your ears and through the back of your neck, and then down more into your body. And so it feels like you've got some gifts that are associated with like, okay, how do we bring whatever this is that I just see and learn into practical application and to use and to actually bring something like do it in the world. So very cool there. And then it also is like I see some gifts with like how to be more efficient, how to make things better. In a way, it's like a way that you're gonna serve the earth and serve humanity is by making things better and work better and operate better. And that once you have some of that and then you're able to share it with others, I see that it comes through kind of your personal, like your belly and kind of your personal power. And that is where you feel like, okay, now that I figured out this process and know how to do things in this way, make it better. And then now here's who I am. And then you're willing to be out more in the public view to be able to share it with others. So, but it comes through figuring it out first and then sharing with others. So I could go on and on, but I do have to leave because I've got to pick up my son. So I'm super grateful you're here. What a great question. Yeah, and I can just see like you got some gifts to serve this world. It's really cool. All right, let me know how that resonated for you. And please, please consider paying this forward if you found value in this. We'd love to share it with others, tag people in it, share it in a post or in a group or on your page, wherever we can, like so that we can serve others. And appreciate you guys being here. Really, this is always a joy to connect with you. So have a beautiful day. See ya.